Welcome back, Campfire crew, to our cozy corner of terror. Tonight we have a listener-submitted story, and if you would like us to feature yours, please drop us a line in the comments. Gather around the flickering flames, for tonight's tale is not for the faint of heart. If you relish stories that send shivers down your spine and make you question every shadow in the corner of your eye, you've come to the right place. Settle in and prepare yourselves. For in this story, as in so many of our dark tales, nothing is quite as it seems. The line between reality and nightmare is about to blur. You see, I was part of a group of young adults who had come up with what we thought was a brilliant plan. We were going to rob the undertaker. Yeah, you heard that right. We suspected this guy had been stealing valuables from the graves he was supposed to be tending. So, in our twisted logic, we decided to steal from the thief. And guess who drew the short straw for the most dangerous part of the plan? That's right, yours truly. I was dressed in a ghostly white gown, ready to play the part of a spectral figure lurking in the darkness. My job? To distract the undertaker while my friends snuck into his on-site house. Talk about a high-stakes game. As I stood there, waiting for my cue, the moon hung low in the sky, casting an eerie glow over the cemetery. My white dress billowed in the silent breeze, and I tried to make my footsteps as light as the wisps of fog curling around the gravestones. I felt like I was in some kind of horror movie, except this was terrifyingly real. I watched from a distance as the undertaker appeared, his lantern casting flickering shadows on the graves. He was known for his nocturnal activities, digging fresh graves under the cover of darkness. If our suspicions were right, he was about to get a taste of his own medicine. Taking a deep breath, I began my approach. I tried to move with purpose, to make my steps calculated and eerie. In my mind, I was channeling every ghost story I'd ever heard. I wanted to be the spectre that would haunt this man's nightmares, maybe even the ghost of a woman he had robbed shortly after her burial. As I drew nearer, I could see the undertaker more clearly. His movements were becoming erratic, his hands trembling as he shoveled dirt into an open grave. I could see the sweat on his furrowed brow, his breath quickening. Was it just the labor, or was my presence already unsettling him? The stillness of the night was broken only by the sound of his shovel and my own thundering heartbeat. I saw the moment he noticed me. His eyes widened in terror, his lantern flickering in his shaking hand. The look of panic and disbelief on his face almost made me feel bad for him. Almost. I could sense my friends closing in on his dwelling. The plan was working perfectly, but then everything went sideways. The undertaker, his eyes wild with fear and what looked like madness, abandoned his work and lunged toward me, shovel raised like a weapon. In that moment, all thoughts of playing a ghost fled my mind. Pure, unadulterated terror took over. I turned and ran, my white dress now a liability as it rustled loudly, giving away my position. I could hear the undertaker's heavy footsteps behind me, feel his ragged breath on my neck. Every step was fueled by fear and desperation. The cemetery, once just creepy, had become a nightmarish maze of potential death. I could hear my friends shouting in the distance, their voices filled with alarm. But they were too far away. It was just me and the crazed undertaker, locked in a terrifying chase through the graveyard. Just when I thought my lungs would burst, when I was sure the next swing of that shovel would connect with my skull, my friends burst from the shadows. Their sudden appearance caught the undertaker off guard, and he stumbled. In a chaotic blur of motion, they managed to disarm and subdue him. The following moments were tense. The undertaker, now surrounded, fought like a cornered animal. His shovel, once his weapon against me, now swung wildly as he tried to fend off my friends. But we had numbers on our side, and slowly, inevitably, we overpowered him. As he was finally subdued, I stood there, gasping for breath, my white dress now dirty and torn. We had done it. We had confronted the grave robber and won. The stolen treasures would soon be in our hands. But as I looked at the undertaker's face, now slack with defeat, I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the night air. His eyes, lifeless and cold, seemed to stare right through me. In that moment, I realized that our daring heist had taken us from the world of the living into the shadowy realm of the dead, and I wasn't sure we'd ever truly leave. As we made our way out of the cemetery, our ill-gotten gains in hand, I couldn't shake the feeling that we'd crossed a line. The peaceful resting place of the departed had been transformed into the site of our audacious theft. We had won, yes, but at what cost? That night in the cemetery changed me. The undertaker's chilling gaze still haunts my dreams, a constant reminder of our brush with the darker side of life and death. We set out to right a wrong, to steal from a thief, but in the end I'm not sure if we were any better than him. So let my story be a warning to you. Sometimes the quest for justice can lead you down a dark path, and sometimes the ghosts you conjure might just be the least of your worries. And so, Campfire Crew, our tale of graveyard justice flickers to its end. But as you well know, in our world of shadows and whispers, endings are rarely what they seem. Our daring listener may have escaped the cemetery, but the chill of that fateful night lingers on, like mist clinging to forgotten tombstones. The undertaker's lifeless eyes still haunt their dreams, a constant reminder of the fine line between hero and villain. As you drift away from our circle of firelight tonight, ponder this, brave listeners. How thin is the veil between right and wrong, between the living and the dead? Our storyteller danced on that very edge, and the eerie melody may never stop playing in their mind. So the next time you pass a graveyard in the dark of night, when the moon paints silver shadows across silent stones, ask yourself, are you truly alone? Or are there eyes in the darkness, watching, waiting, judging? Sleep tight, Campfire Crew. And remember, in our realm of terrifying tales, it's not just the dead who can haunt the living. Sometimes our own choices become the spectres that follow us into eternity. Until we meet again around these flames, keep your wits sharp and your flashlights handy. For in the world of the Campfire Crew, the line between reality and nightmare remains forever blurred.